Well, let's get into our top story. Woodside Chairman Richard Goyder has survived a protest vote against his re-election at today's AGM in Perth. The long-serving executive has been under fire in the weeks leading up to today's event, with several large shareholders, including Australia's second largest super fund, Aware Super, withdrawing their support for him. Let's go live to our reporter Crystal Wu in Perth, who was there at the AGM. It was more than a 4-hour event today. Crystal, how did it all play out for Woodside and for its chairman, Richard Goyder?
Well, Ed, it's important to note this re-election would likely be Mr Goyder's last 10 years in this role by 2027. Today, he secured a lot of support from the shareholders. 83% of shareholders voted for him, while 17% voted against him. We know a few days ago some shareholders were quite vocal about his leadership. Aware Super telling you on your program a few days ago that they were disappointed by his lack of action towards the Climate Action Plan. And the Climate Action Plan was a large part of the conversation today. We have just received the votes. 58% of shareholders voted against the Climate Action Plan. 42% voted for. Now, the Climate Action Plan was outlined earlier this year, and Woodside said they would aim to target a 15% reduction to its greenhouse gas emissions by 2025, 30% by 2030.
But I firmly believe that Woodside's track record during my time as chair, delivering strong operational and financial performance, laying the foundations for future growth while continuing to return value to shareholders, speaks to the quality of our management's current leadership and strategy.
And Crystal, the meeting today didn't really go without controversy, did it? What was happening both in the room and outside the venue?
Well, Ed, it's not the first time climate protesters have targeted Woodside, and it certainly won't be the last. There's been several groups of quite vocal climate protesters, including Disrupt Burrup Hup. They held a rally this morning at a park in Perth, arguing against Woodside's plans to redevelop its oil and gas projects. A Scarborough Energy project here in WA is one, for example. After that rally, a couple of the protesters turned up as proxy holders here at the meeting. Some of them asked him quite challenging questions. And towards the end of the meeting, a group of about 20 of them stood up to chant against the chairman. He was pretty abrupt. He kind of shut them down quite quickly. And of course, there was a group of security there to escort them out. Take a listen.
Well, looks like a pretty eventful AGM there. Thanks so much, Crystal.